Welcome everyone to Frank Analysis. I am your host Franco. So there has been a massive power outage in Texas as well as other states, but we're going to primarily focus on this article that discusses Texas, and we're going to talk about some neoliberal elites that are voter shaming people about this problem, even though it's not their fault. It's the fault in the system that we have and the people that we have in charge who are very incompetent, and the result of neoliberalism. But first, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and also make sure you follow me on Rockfin. It's a free, you can sign up and create a free account. Subscribing to my channel for $10 a month also really helps. You don't have to subscribe to my channel. You can also subscribe to other independent content creators on there, and then you can get the premium content of everybody who is on Rockfin. YouTube has officially demonetized me, so the best way that you can support me is by following me in alternative platforms like Rockfin, like Odyssey, or donating to any of the links that are below. So here's an article from USA Today which says, massive failure. Why are millions in Texas in the dark amid rolling blackouts, winter weather? So the article goes on to say that there's been an extreme energy demand and overwhelmed frozen utility plants amid an unprecedented deep freeze in Texas are among the factors that led to 4.5 million customers without power in the Lone Star State on Tuesday, which is today. So this doesn't include the people who are homeless in Texas, who are greatly going to be affected by this. I really hope that there's a group of people or organization out there that's helping these people out, because if we're seeing these power outages, it's because the plants there, the energy plants, are not prepared for this weather. And what we get from climate change is an increase in variability, which means we see more extreme weather. People think that we only get more warm temperature and that we're not going to experience colder temperature. No. We're going to keep seeing colder temperature as well, because there's an increase in variability. So there's a study here that I can link for you all to read. It's a scientific study that says climate models predict increasing temperature variability in poor countries. This also affects the US. It's not just poor countries, it's the entire planet, and the article goes on to acknowledge that, but it talks about how poor countries are the ones that are going to be most affected by this. So if you want to learn more about it and explain to people who don't understand how climate change will affect them, because the mainstream media and our school system does a bad job at explaining it, you can go ahead and show them this article. There's plenty of other studies out there for you guys to find so that you can share with your family members and your friends. So going back to the USA Today article, it goes on to say that outages spread across Texas left millions in the dark and bitter cold amid single-degree temperatures and a winter storm that buried the state in snow and ice in recent days. So they have this map here which shows the percentage of outages that were across Texas. So it shows all the different counties here. So there's some that have a huge percentage. Like here we have 68% in Oldham County. There was 85% in Llano County. So no matter which way you cut it, the article goes on to say, this is a massive failure for a grid and a state that holds up energy and electricity as a shining example, said Veyron Ray, the director of the Energy Institute at the University of Texas at Austin. During a Tuesday press conference, representatives from the Electricity Reliability Council of Texas, or ERCOT, said there are 45,000 megawatts offline. Of that, 15,000 megawatts are wind and 30,000 are gas and coal. Between 2 and 3 million customers were without power as of early Tuesday evening. So it shows here 33% of these plants were wind, which is considered a renewable energy, and 66% were coal and gas. So it doesn't matter if it was renewable or non-renewable, these plants were not prepared for what we're seeing as a result of climate change, and it's only going to get worse. Going forward, things are going to continue to exacerbate. And so we're really not prepared for this. So ERCOT, which manages about 90% of the state's power for 26 million customers, has said it is instituting rolling outages across the system to prevent more outages as it worked to restore power for Texans. So the governor, Greg Abbott, he said that the situation is unacceptable and said he would be adding an emergency item to the state's legislative session on reforming ERCOT. The nonprofit corporation is subject to oversight from the Public Utility Commission of Texas and the Texas legislature. So there's another map here that shows how, Texas was not the only state that experienced power outages. We see here North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, Ohio. There's also here in there's also in California, in Washington, New Mexico, Oklahoma. But this article is focusing on Texas. So it explains why Texas is having power outages and rolling blackouts. So Daniel Cohen, who is an associate professor of civil and environmental engineering at Rice University, what he said was that at the most basic level, the outages have been caused because demand amid the bitter cold has outpaced supply of energy that is used to heat and power homes. So people were experiencing unprecedented levels of cold, and their homes, like they had to ramp up the heating system in their homes, and that was too much supply of energy for what the state is prepared for, what the county is prepared for. Now, Daniel Cohen, he goes on to say that there were 3 different factors that were likely at play, though it's too soon to say at what degree each played a role in causing the outages. So he says that first, some power plants may not have been operational due to routine maintenance. Peak demand typically occurs in the summer, so it's not unexpected for a coal or natural gas plant to be offline in an effort to tune up for the warmer months. Then he says, second, some power plants may have failed to operate in the cold. Plants are optimized to run under our typical and our extreme summer conditions, but they aren't as well prepared and engineered for extreme cold. So according to, they bring up Varen Ray again. Varen Ray, he said that if plants operate far too long and in too extreme of conditions, it could be too costly to operate as well as cause the damage to the equipment, which could further exacerbate the outages for longer periods of time. And then third, Daniel Cohen he explained that some natural gas plants may not have been able to adequate supply of gas to be converted into electricity. Unlike a coal plant that has an ready stockpile, natural gas plants don't store as much on site, meaning any disruption at the supply source will lead to a disruption in turning on the lights. Now, in U.S. news, like if you go to Twitter and you see the news, it says that an energy system engineer examines the root causes of the power outage in Texas. So this guy, Jesse Jenkins, went to investigate what was going on. From what I read about, here in his background picture in Twitter, he's pretty neoliberal, but he's taking a look. We'll see what happens. I don't know too much about this guy's background, but he seems pretty neoliberal, neo-progressive to me. Talking about net zero emissions by 2050. We cannot wait that long. Like we need to take action now. Right now, we can't wait to 2050. That's a neoliberal talking point. By 2050, it'll be too late, and we'll be like, oh, we couldn't accomplish 2050, so we'll try to accomplish it by like 2070. Now, the last thing that Texans need, like these Texans a lot of them are poor, a lot of them live paycheck to paycheck, they're suffering right now, especially the homeless people. The last thing that they need to hear is elitist bullshit like this, trying to claim like, I know better than thou. I am an elite. I am rich. I am an author. I am well educated. Stephen King, who's an author of classic novels like It and The Shining, he said, "Hey, Texas, keep voting for officials who don't believe in climate change and supported privatization of the power grid. Maybe in 4 years you can vote for Trump again. He believes in the latter but not the former." Perfect. Hey, Stephen King, the Democrats also believe in privatization. This is a result of both Democrats and Republicans' incompetence in serving the private corporations over the people. So you think you know better than people just because what? Because you're not voting for Trump, because you're not voting for somebody who doesn't say mean things, but the Democrats, because they say nice things, but they're still serving the corporations. You think that you're better than those people? With the behavior that you're showing, the arrogance that you're showing here, you're more ignorant than them. Their suffering pushes them to actually question the system more. And that's why a lot of people fell for Trump, because he was criticizing the system. But Stephen King, since the system works so well for him, since he's a rich elite, he doesn't question the system as much. And even with like AOC's Green New Deal, it doesn't acknowledge anything about the problems with privatization of the energy sector. It doesn't have any intricate plan for nationalizing the energy sector. And we also saw that with renewables like wind, we still saw power outages. So regardless if we have like renewable or if we have natural gas and coal, the power plants that we have are not prepared for the temperature changes that we're going to get as a result of climate change. So what Stephen King is implying here is that the Texans deserve this because the majority of the population supports Trump and Republicans. What about the other people who support Democrats? What about people who are apolitical? What about people there who are post-partisan, but they're just not significant? How is that their fault? How is it any of their fault? We live in a system that misinforms people and makes them believe that we can vote our way out of this system. And that includes Stephen King. He believes we can vote our way. Oh, actually, I don't think he even thinks that we need to vote our way out of this system. I think that he thinks that the system is fine and that we just need to vote away people like Trump. Regardless, it's so disappointing, especially if you're like a Stephen King fan, but I'm not surprised. Like there's a bunch of elites that believe this way, and like it's on us, the people who experience the most suffering because of the way the system is set up. We feel the urgency to want to inform ourselves more. Some people don't receive that opportunity as much as people like you in the audience who watch channels like this. Since you guys received the opportunity to have the information that other people don't receive because they're too brainwashed and hypnotized by the mainstream media, it's up to you guys to spread information to them, objective information from independent sources. So make sure you keep doing that. Join online communities like Discord. I have a link to my Discord in the description. Join other independent channels' Discord as well. Building communities online translates to building communities on the ground. That's how we get movement started. So make sure you do that. Hit the like button, subscribe to this channel. Most importantly, stay informed and stay conscious. I love you all.